Hi and welcome to Recall. My name is Sophia Harris. This is a show where we talk about everything Overwatch, the patches, the fixes, the metas, and the players. And joining me today, we have Jason Elliott. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So I just want to start off by hearing your stories. Jason, I'll start with you. What is your history of playing Overwatch?
Honestly, I've never been too much of a first-person shooter fan in general, but Blizzard has kind of always made games that are unique. They stand out. They try some new mechanics. So honestly, I didn't even play the beta, and at the last second, a couple of friends just absolutely convinced me to go out to a midnight launch event, and me just loving weird parties, I decided to go. I picked up the game almost on a whim and immediately fell in love with it. I must have played 60 hours that first week alone, and I've been playing it ever since, and any game that can keep you playing for almost 2 years is pretty much a success in my book.
I agree. Elliot?
I'm in the same boat. I didn't play a ton of FPSs. I played some Halo in high school, but I didn't play a lot of like TF2 or anything. And then Overwatch Beta came out. I ended up enjoying it a ton, playing with everybody that I knew who jumped on. And I've been playing it since and hooked and following the esports scene. Been enjoying it. It's cool.
Yeah, sort of like me then too. I was also one of those people who wasn't into FPS in the same way as I think a lot of other people were. But then I saw Sombra, and I guess
Character designs got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of Overwatch's strength. I think it brings in a lot of people who did not traditionally associate themselves with the FPS scene, and they did that through really clever marketing, a fantastic character design, the lore that they put out, those CG trailers. I mean, Blizzard, their production value is top-notch, second to none in the industry.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Casted a wide net. I know a lot of people, like you said, who weren't into FPSs, and my girlfriend, for instance, started picking up Mercy and support mains, and because it wasn't traditional first-person shooter, and that whole role system really brought in cast a wide net, and really brought in a ton of people. That was really cool to see.
Yeah. So you think the character designs, the fact that there are different roles to play, that is something that is attracting new players, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of characters obviously require a lot of precision, from Soldier 76 to McCree, but people can come in without necessarily a lot of that mechanical skill and still contribute valuable.
Of which I have none.
Of which you have
Yeah.
and still really contribute to their team, whether it be Symmetra's lock on beam, Winston throwing down some barrier shields, or Mercy's, boost up with attack or with healing. I mean, you can always contribute to your team really regardless, and I think people feeling that sense of teamwork, that sense that they're contributing is a huge major factor for bringing people in.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up Mercy, because of all the heroes, she's arguably the one who's changed the most.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she doesn't do the 5-man res that everybody loved, including myself. What are you guys' opinion on that? The fact that they took a character who their sort of main core ability, they just completely kind of removed it. What was your opinion on it?
I tend to think Blizzard did a good job at listening to the community over time and tailoring the gameplay that they saw was getting a little one-dimensional and saying, okay, how do we mix this up? And it's been a thing in Overwatch that I think they've done particularly well, is adapted to those gameplay and evolve in a way that it's really a testament of esports generally starting to listen to the community and really make games that are supposed to last rather than here's the box, here's what gets released, and then a few years later come out with a different game.
Yeah, and I think just speaking to Mercy specifically, I mean, people always go for what do they go for? They go for the cards at the end, and they go for the play of the game. The only way to get play of the game as Mercy was to go for those 5-man reses, but what does that do to gameplay? It means that Mercy, instead of being in the thick of the action, making a great team fight for everyone having a great time, they hide in the back, just waiting for all of their teammates to die, and then maybe if they're lucky, they can charge in and get that 5-man res just for the play of the game. That doesn't really create good gameplay. It's definitely not good to watch if we're talking about comp or league. Yeah. So making those changes, adapting the play style, obviously Blizzard, they know what they're doing.
Although I have to argue, the whole about hiding behind things, just look at Reaper. The amount of Reapers who hide behind corners before they actually go on ult, I just gotta say, that's my counter.
That's kind of Reaper's design though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
He's got the shadow step.
I mean,
he's meant to kind of teleport in at the last second.
I mean, I totally agree. Imagine being in the league and having 5-man reses. It would not work out.
Yeah, it'd be nuts.
And I think it was good that they changed her because the meta changed and we saw Ana for the first time and we saw Lucio. Although it was funny at the end, it ended up just being the same meta of Mercy playing.
I know, it comes full circle, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, she's the best healer, obviously.
I mean, you're
Arguably.
You're right.
Yeah.
We can talk about that. But, the strength of Overwatch, and I think that's something we can touch on in a little bit, is we want to see every player has their hero that they love. And I think those players, when they watch competitive and league, they want to see their heroes being played. And we don't necessarily see that, unfortunately, in some of the higher level matches.
Yeah. Although, I mean, it's gotten better. I
mean, it has.
It's definitely gotten better.
I thought it was so great to see Moira. I mean, now that we got Horizon Lunar Colony and we got the 3 tanks with the Moira, that was great because it seemed like a healer at first who was like, are we really going to see her And I mean, now we got Birgitte, we got all these new
Yeah.
heroes.
Well, I'm
And
super
I-
excited for it,
Yeah,
by the way.
it's really cool to see Blizzard's diversity in the dynamics of the heroes they put out, and to be able to try healers that are not typical. I mean, Mercy, Lucio have like kind of that generic. This is a simpler hero to play than Moira. And Moira, it starts getting super nuanced in when to use different decision making as far as healing versus attacking, and really creates a cool dynamic to play and to play and to watch in the pro scene.
Yeah, and I love those hybrid roles too. I mean, Moira obviously takes a role there, but then Brigitte having that dual tank support thing. I think what that does is because she can fill in at the appropriate time, you know, whatever she needs to do, that kind of opens up what the other roles can be. If you can have her in a pinch be that off tank, well, that means you can use what you were going to use that second tank slot for, and maybe try something a little bit more, less conventional, like maybe. Hopefully one day we'll get that Symmetra pick in there, or we'll get a Mei pick, or we'll just get some weird stuff in there, which I
Yeah.
love to see.
Mei.
I love the weird hero
Me
picks.
too. Do you think we'll ever see Symmetra, though? Let's be honest.
We cheer for it every.
I think everybody
every
cheers
match.
for it,
Everyone
yeah.
cheers for it.
I think what makes me optimistic that we will is that Blizzard wants these champions and heroes to be picked. They want to see these in the rotation, and like you said, Reaper hiding in the back, like they're starting to make changes to Reaper, and now all of a sudden he can reload, and so I think that the diversity in here, we're starting to see a lot of heroes like D.Va played a lot, and
much D.Va.
too much D.Va,
Too much D.Va.
and so I think
Yeah.
they're willing to explore that and bring all these heroes that don't get enough love.
Yeah, and I
into
think
the
that was
mix.
interesting with going into stage 2 of the league. Now we were seeing almost every single character being played. However, the whole idea of dive comp is still such a strong. I mean, ever since D.Va got the rockets, I mean, we will that ever be something we can go away from? Do you think?
I think they tried to do an anti-dive hero with Doomfist. That was like kind of their intention. And as a Tracer player, I'm terrified of a Doomfist. I run away. It's like Roadhog and Doomfist are my two. Just get the heck away heroes. But for some reason, Doomfist hasn't really entered the meta very much. You kind of want to see him kind of, on like Volskaya Point 1 or what have you, like try and repel the dive comp. But it's so powerful. The movement options in this game, almost above all others, are extremely powerful. Almost every character has something to assist their movement, get out of trouble situations, and get into that point quickly.
Yeah.
And I think balance-wise, not just in the sense of balance for heroes, but balance in compositions, we saw when the 4-tank meta started to just take off, Blizzard sees that, and they don't want the game to be one-dimensional in that regard. And so I think we'll see more defensive champions being buffed in ways that help dive comp be a little bit less effective all the time, and which changes they make and why. I fully would expect them to make it, and we'll see which ones they pick.
Yeah. So talking to you guys, you just do normal comp. It's not Overwatch League comp at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because in the league, obviously there are certain metas that you kind of have to follow.
Right.
Although we've seen teams like Houston Outlaws in the last match just playing the characters they love. They just went completely against what we should play and said, we just want to play these characters right now.
Did they
which
win that match?
They did.
Okay, good.
They did. That's the thing. Like, do you think that, because for you guys, do you feel going into comp that you have to sort of play the meta as we see from League, or do you just play what you want?
It depends on if you're okay with being yelled at on chat, right? Because people are so caught up in the meta, and sometimes on comp, we have our toxicity issues, which we'll get to a little later.
Yeah.
But if you're not the absolute top level of play, honestly, it doesn't matter. A great player, a great hero out of meta is going to destroy a mediocre player in meta every single time, no doubt. So if anyone gives me any nonsense on chat for picking characters who I like, I just mute them. I have no patience for that at all.
Yeah.
I love playing specific characters that I'm really drawn to, and at anywhere from the range of like bronze to diamond, even master, your skill is really going to shine through. Think about if any pro picks up any player, like you said, they're going to be able to dominate with them. The level that it does come into play is with, like you said, flaming from teammates and being able to have a cohesive team, one that communicates well, one that is all having fun playing the game. That's when I will tend to, if everyone's raging at a pick, okay, I'll switch off. Let's be a
Everyone's
team.
raging. I'm out of the match. I'm like, you guys have fun. I'll take the SR loss.
You
Yeah.
just decide to leave.
Yeah. Bye.
Speaking of that, there was a dev update on the 24th. They're now introducing Avoid a Teammate, which is basically,
If they keep leaving.
yeah, or for any
Well, no,
reason.
any reason.
For
You can just
any
add
reason.
it. Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
me.
but
Yeah,
you
I'm
would
gonna-
probably
Everyone
end
wants to
up.
avoid me.
Yeah. So any reason if we're playing together and I'm like, you know what, I never want to play with you for the next 7 days,
Yeah.
I'm just going to tick it. My question is, do you think is that really the type of toxicity people want to avoid? Is this going to solve a major problem, or is the toxicity the community are talking about, is that another part of this? Is it really complaining about your teammates or everyone else?
this is a problem across gaming, from League of Legends to Halo. I mean, every competitive scene has this. I like the feature. I like that it's there. It's better than not having it. There are times where I'm just like, I need to get away from you. But limited to only 2 people, and frankly not, only 7 days, it doesn't really address the underlying situation. It's a Band-Aid. It's not an actual fix, right? It's a tough thing because you start implementing more strict ban systems. You start implementing if enough players report a character, then maybe they're auto banned for a certain period of time. That can be abused very frequently. Groups of people can get together and say, well, if you don't pick this or if you don't do this, we will mass report you. And it's a very difficult system, and a lot of companies have tried a lot of different things. Again, I like that it's there. I mean, what do you think about it?
I like anything that gives me more control of which teammates I can avoid and which teammates I want to play with more.
Well, not more. You can't be like, I like this person. Let's hang out.
Would that be a good thing to do though? I mean, I guess stay as a group is the sort of thing they got going,
that's in general what I mean. Like any way that we can start leaning towards who can we play with that we really like. And it's interesting to think of what happens to that person that starts getting avoided a lot. What happens to the quality of their games, and do they see that in a way that, oh man, I don't want to be in a queue with a bunch of people and now you get into this kind of like toxic queue of okay, let's get out of here because this is a terrible place to play games.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it doesn't match like all the people who have been put on those lists
together.
I mean,
I don't know what the logical. It seems to me like there's got to be some eventuality where that happens.
It will. Like they mentioned, if you're higher rank, it's going to take longer to queue. If you're in a small place, it's going to take longer. Yeah, it's going to be a problem for some people, but for mid-level people, probably like us, it will be fine.
The number of people in the mid-level, I mean, I don't know Blizzard's numbers, but it's got to be still in the hundreds of thousands easy.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I don't think you're going to see that too much there.
So if you decide to ban the person who plays Symmetra on every single map,
I love Symmetra.
I mean, I do too. There are certain
maps.
you can play. Or Temple of Anubis, for example, is always fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of maps, I want to hear you guys' opinion on getting these events. You get all these different types of maps. You get Capture the Flags with Uprising and a different event. Do you think it's enough to like sort of vary the play? And is that really what players want? Do they want the Summer Games and the Lucio Ball? Or is that just a fun thing? You say yes. Why?
I love Lucio Ball. Lucio was I loved Lucio Ball. It was a super fun game mode.
If you're a Rocket League fan, it's Rocket League and Overwatch, right? It's the same thing.
I'd like to think it was a really nice homage to Rocket League. And I think it's a way of keeping the game fresh in a way that, for me, it feels like the developer cares and wants to update, and they have this really cool game mode that's engaging. It's relevant to the Olympics and the world and has all the cultural stuff tied into it. I love that element.
Yeah.
There's always something to look forward to. I like that it's limited, that you're not just like generally going to find a Lucio Ball server just kind of slowly, quietly dying and like, this is always special when it's there.
Yeah.
I love that dynamic.
I mean, different strokes for different folks. I mean, the crazy comp people, they're probably never even going to touch it. But considering, Overwatch's user base, and considering that a lot of players obviously aren't that kind of hardcore FPS person, those modes getting thrown in every once in a while. Personally, I love Junkerstein's Revenge. That's one of my favorite game modes. Like just getting in, doing a nice PvE with your friends, not having to worry about the stress of a full match and everything. Like it's fun. It's just enjoyable. And even if you only play it 3 times, well, that's cool. And I have to believe that Blizzard has internal numbers about how many players are engaging with those modes. And frankly, I think if they found that it wasn't being engaged with, they would kind of like sort of drop that and only focus on new heroes and new maps. But I don't think we've seen that. So I think players are enjoying it.
Like the competitive versions of Lucio Ball and Capture, that's sort of a reaction.
Yep.
You think to doing this.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of agree with you too. I think it sort of shows the strength of having different characters have different abilities. The fact you still want to play them in a different mode, even though it's just shooting the same zombies that come, and it's like technically. But I know a lot of people think you should just spend time fixing maps or creating more maps. I mean, we've got Blizzard World, we got a bunch of maps over the past year, but I know a lot of people are like, you should focus on making new maps and not just give out.
I'm glad they're not working at Blizzard.
They've released, especially when you look at every different thing they're doing across maps and heroes and these events and skins and the esports league.
Yeah.
Sweet CG trailers.
You get the sense that they are just working constantly, and everyone's going to have an opinion of what thing they should do more and less of, and what their favorite thing is. But there's no sense possible that they just don't care, and that's a piece of it that I.
Yeah, I mean, Overwatch is a game as a service. It's that paradigm. It's that, every company's trying to do that. But Blizzard succeeds because you can tell Blizzard cares. Jeff cares.
Yep.
When Jeff speaks directly to us, his warm, soothing voice gets me right here.
When he stares into that holiday cam.
Oh, yeah. How long did he stare into that? It was just...
It was like a 12-hour
12 hours.
thing.
Sat in
Yeah.
a chair for 12 hours and looked at a camera.
Although we know it wasn't. Well, I guess we could pretend it's
He
real.
dedicated a
Yeah.
good chunk of his day. I don't know whether it was 2 hours. I don't know whether it was
Respect Jeff
3.
Kaplan.
He
It
did
was
a lot
a-
of different stuff.
It was a long time. So I just I want to hear from you coming into this new anniversary in May. What do you want to see? What's the new thing to watch? Do you want a new hero? I mean, we got a bunch of heroes already. We're doing pretty good on the hero.
27?
Yeah.
27 heroes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do you? I'm sorry with you, Jason. What do you want to see from Overwatch in the future?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I could ask for a new map, or I could ask for a new hero, but we've kind of seen those things. I'm gonna go out way on a limb here. I'm going out of left field. I want an Overwatch movie. Everyone wants
Yeah.
an Overwatch movie. Their CG is second to none. I love their scenes. I love their lore. I love their characters. Bring it to the screen. I guarantee you. Maybe it's a limited release. Maybe it doesn't get the big, studio tentpole release. But I would pay 10, 15, 20 bucks to go see that. Can you imagine the theater full of screaming fans? It'd be the best. That's what
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah.
I want the movie.
Elliot.
I come from a background of StarCraft 2. Played
Yeah.
a ton of it. I watched the esports scene.
GSL.
Yeah. And one of my favorite things about that was being able to watch what the pros did, download replays, and be able to learn from that, like click by click and what they're doing. I don't know how feasible it is. I don't know how replays are like the biggest thing that I want.
Yeah.
It's something that it helps me improve. It helps me share gameplay. And I think it's kind of a step in the right direction to see the play of the game and like getting to record it and share it that way. But replays really take, and especially with the whole esports scene thriving,
Yeah.
I really want to be able to download Stage 2 finals and be able
Yeah.
to go, oh wow, that comp was really cool. Let's jump in from right here and see how we do.
So you kind of like the replay feature they have in the league, where you can
Yep.
push the camera 180 degrees. You can
Yep.
get all the pro strats.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
what you basically want.
Yep.
You want to get the pro strats in a better way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Although,
admire your commitment.
yeah,
What about you? What do you want from the 2-year anniversary?
I want Symmetra to be fun.
Okay.
That's looking for.
Already
Here's,
Yeah.
true, Sophia.
as someone who used to main Symmetra, it makes me very sad to watch the league every week and know that she will never be played.
Did she get played once?
Muma, no. Muma plays her in the save files,
60,
and then
yeah.
and then right as he's gonna go out, changes to Winston,
they
and my
announce-
dreams.
Didn't they announce they were going to do some changes to both Torb and Symmetra in the
They're
coming months?
they're looking to do a lot of character work.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. The fact that the Hanzo scatter is gonna hopefully go soon is a great thing. I think
They
that
got to
will
replace it
happen.
with something.
I
They
mean,
got to replace it with something.
yeah.
What's it going to be? Who knows?
Well, they were thinking
picked
of
that
doing
one.
like a shimmy, so he's gonna like slide or something, give him mobility, which I think is fine because I think
Yeah.
scatter is so unfair. It's actually funny in the Philly versus London, if I believe that match. Their Hanzo just scattered a Widow, and it was just so unfair. He just points it at the ground, and the damage is done. You know, it's
very anti-tank too.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
I want to see some more tanks.
I will say the difference between watching a good Hanzo play and then when I pick Hanzo
yeah,
Massive.
is I don't understand how he does any damage. Like,
yeah.
Like when you play Hanzo for a whole thing and you
Yeah.
get like one kill, and
Yeah.
it's only because it was an accident. You
Yeah.
accidentally shot
Yeah.
someone and then they died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No, I'm
Terrible.
excited to see the changes. I'm excited to see the Mei changes. I think that once she's fixed, she will be one of the most balanced heroes.
love
Probably after like Tracer, like there are certain characters now that are just pretty much perfect. I
Is
think
Mei the cutest character?
no.
No, what?
I think Bastion is the cutest.
Bastion
one.
is not the cutest character. Bastion has no face.
Well, that's cute. I think.
Mei is
But yeah,
I will fight for Mei.
I will fight for Mei.
You
I-
guys
I-
will fight for Mei.
but not just the cuteness. I hope she gets buffed to be able to counter the dive meta. I
Yes.
love the idea of like her freezing and walling being able to really put a stop to. Like I think she's got a lot of potential there.
Yeah, and I think they're kind of looking into that, the dive meta being so strong, especially with D.Va. And I mean, for me, it's just Junkrat as a support. You get killed right away. It is not really fun anymore to just stand there and just have some random thing hit you, you know? So hopefully,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of hoping, as someone who was a Junkrat main, I'm just hoping just calm him down a little bit. Besides that, I'm just hoping to see new maps. I'm hoping to see, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with other characters, if they're going to balance more. Hopefully, with the new maps in the league, we'll see some new compositions. Not just, I mean, I love the idea of an anti-dive, and I hope that's something that will happen more frequently. But also, I think I love the fact that more teams are just playing the characters that they like.
Yeah.
I do like that. You don't feel forced to have to play a certain meta, because, you know, the most important player in the league right now are the flex people, because you need to adapt so quickly.
Yeah. Houston leading the way.
Yeah, well, Philly, I think, actually, after this,
Philly.
they did so good with, like, they literally went out to safe room, saw what was happening, went back in, changed. which I think is great.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important to have flex. But that being said, I would also love it that people don't have to necessarily flex, because if everything's balanced, I would just love to see people playing what they like.
Have some specialists in the role get really, really good. And we see that kind of as people start specializing in widows and tracers.
Yes.
The clips that come out of there, like, they're not on screen for more than a second, like a nanosecond, then it just gets popped in there. It's crazy to watch people go off on Widow. And those kind of highlight reels, that comes from specializing because you've got 1,000 hours on your favorite, not just role, but your favorite hero, and you can actually do a really good job.
I love the step-up crowd noise, because every shot that Widow connects with is a cheer, and then the second one a louder cheer, and the third one it just builds every time. I love it.
Enough said about that.
I'll join
Thank you so much for joining me, gentlemen. I had a good time. That's us for the show. This was Recall, and see you soon.
Intercepting!
Someone call the Undertaker.
We're just going to pretend to talk.
Stuff.
Dun, 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 dun.
Am I cutting them?
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
Woo!